Pháp dương vô thượng tôn, tam giới vô luân thập. Thiên nhân chi đạo, sư tử sanh chi từ phù. Nhất niệm quy năng diệt tam kỳ nghiệp. Sướng dương nhược tán thán, ức kiếp mạt năng tầng.
Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. We start with the lecture number 3 and begin with the sutra text. Steps down from the floral chariot. Greet the Tathagata with reverence. In front of thy glorious presence, introducing myself, I am Ravana, 10-headed king of Rakshasas. May thou receive me with all Lanka's residents. This demon king with 10 heads must have been a scary sight to behold. The king's growth of multiple heads is dependent on his spiritual development. Similarly to a holy fox, its number of tails is dependent on its spiritual growth. At first, the holy fox had only one tail, and then 2 tails, if it continues successfully for 2 years. The number of tails continues to increase until it reaches a maximum of 9 tails. The Yaswa demon's growth of number of heads is similarly dependent on its spiritual growth. If it ever appears in front of you, you might be shocked or fainted by its monstrous appearance. Some holy beings in another dimension understand the shock reaction that a human might have. They want to be helpful and sometimes want to appear in front of the practitioner, but their appearance are monstrous, which is needed to fight the evil beings. So they seldom do that, fearing that the practitioner would freak out and don't want to practice anymore. From this sutra, you heard that the king Ravana had 10 heads. There is a saying that if you have 3 heads, you would have 6 arms. So how many arms do you think King Ravana had? So from the praise of King Ravana in this sutra, you can tell that the fame and powers of the Buddha are well known in the 3 realms, or Triloka. King Ravana had 10 heads, which symbolize the 10 evils of all beings, but still had to bow down to the Prajna wisdom represented by the Blessed One. Continuing with our sutra text. Many Buddhas of the past had come to this mountain peak, entered the Lanka castle, and lectured on the liberation Dharma. So the Yaswa demon is full of evil and violent tendency, yet goodness still exists and is complete. Even in this world, there are many evil beings, but don't think that there's no goodness in them. They just need the light of Buddha wisdom to shine on the kindness seedlings for the compassion to grow. The Buddha did say that even the most evil person, once he has paid his karmic debt and practiced, he can become a Buddha. If you truly understand this, then you should have respect for all beings. If they are ignorant, then evil exists. If they are awakened, then the compassion in them would be active. This is why the demon king asked the Buddha to lecture, so that all of the Lanka residents can be awakened and liberate themselves from their current bondages. You can tell through his request that the king is not evil. To ask the Buddha for help for himself, for his people, and for all beings represent a person with a compassionate heart. Continuing with the sutra text. The Tathagata stood also on the peak of Mount Malaya, with everyone around, speak of the Dhamma truth. We are all here today, with all of Lanka's residents, of one heart wish to hear liberation Dhamma beyond words. As I have described, Yaswa demon is mean and violent, who live in and outside of the human world. They like to eat fresh meat and drink fresh blood. They are different from a tiger in that when a tiger eats, it likes to eat the head first, then the body and the legs. If it cannot finish it, then the tiger will bury it and save it for the next meal. Whereas the Yaswa, when they eat, they will finish it completely. There are stories of people who went up to the mountains and went missing. I would not be surprised if they might have been captured by Yaswa beings. As mentioned before, there are Lasat and Yaswa demon. The Lasat lives on islands, whereas Yaswa live on mountains. So depending on which area the missing person occurred, then you know which demon group might have captured them. Although these beings are vicious, if they ever approach you, just pray sincerely to Quan Yin Bodhisattva or the Buddha, then they would leave you alone. Their compassionate feeling would rise and they abandon any thoughts of killing you. This is an example of kindness that exists in an evil person. And once his delusion has been clear, he would have strong desire to be kind and compassionate. So, at the king's request, he asked for liberation Dhamma that is beyond words. Do you see how smart this request was? The king knew that all the practices in these three realms that were not successful were because it relied too much on words. Let me give you an example. In the Heart Sutra, it said, the Bodhisattva meditated deeply and saw the emptiness of all five skandhas. This clearly states that you need to see the emptiness in all five of your skandhas before you can be awakened. The five skandhas are form, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. But if you have practiced based on words and forms, then you would often chant daily and thoughts that you have correctly practiced. Continuing on with the Heart Sutra. Form is no other than emptiness. Emptiness is no other than form. Form is only emptiness. Emptiness is only form. Feeling, perceptions, mental formation, and consciousness are similar. Do you all see how clearly this sutra shows how to practice? Most do not and keep chanting and use this word as a mantra. The sutra has deep meanings, and you must understand it in order to practice correctly. I see people nowadays practicing based on forms only. In the late afternoon, the practitioner would get together to do the ritual chanting of various sutras for an hour and hope that their practice was successful. They can repeat this for a lifetime and not be successful. How can this be? These are forms and words. The Heart Sutra clearly states the emptiness of all five skandhas, which means that you should not be attached to this world. Through these five skandhas, the next few lines said, all dharmas are formless. They are not born or destroyed, nor are they stained or pure, nor do they increase or decrease. These lines instructed you not to be stuck on forms anymore. The masters are smart. When they read the sutras, they understood its deep meaning and guided their student properly on how to practice. So, you see, this king was very smart. He was begging the Buddha to teach him how to become enlightened without depending on words. But most humans today don't understand and use word and form to practice. Similarly, when you pray to the Ajida Buddha in the Western paradise, this is also praying through forms. The sutra also said clearly about this. What is Ajida Buddha? This is the Buddha light shining brightly in your mind. But you keep looking for a Buddha far, far away and wonder why your practices weren't successful. Some practiced for many, many years but were not able to attain samadhi, and also wonder why, but did not have the answer, so they further held on to their daily rituals, Buddhist pilgrimage, or doing social works to help the needy to justify their way of practices. Where are the formless practice that you are supposed to be doing for your achievements? All your practices are based on forms. Forms belong in the three realms and cannot be liberated. Why do I say this? It is because I understand it clearly before I dare say it. There are so many people practicing using forms, and it is such a waste of time. Some even practices up to 60, 70, or even 80 years and got nowhere. What a waste. Continuing with the Lankavatara Sutra text. Out of compassion for all the Raksas, please come into the castle decorated with precious stone. Disclose the miraculous truth. From these texts, you should know by now that this king was an incarnated bodhisattva. A regular demon would never ask for the Dharma in such a sincere manner. So what bodhisattva's virtue do you think that the king has displayed so far? He has displayed a virtue called Tứ Nhất Pháp, or four assistant methods, which include 1. Bodhi or donation, which is helping through wealth or dharma. 2. Ái ngữ or encouragement, which is usage of words to bring about peace and harmony. 3. Lợi hành or helpful acts, which is doing work for the benefit of others. And 4. Đồng sự or shared existence, which is living in the same condition as your fellow beings in order to effectively guide them. You have to understand that a bodhisattva doesn't help beings through spiritual channeling, but come to this world in a common body to guide fellow beings toward enlightenment. The best way to help fellow beings is to be one with the group and work, live, and grow together. Some of you have asked if bodhisattvas have supernatural powers. Well, this Tứ Nhất Pháp is it. Because through donations, encouragement, helpful acts, and shared existence, he can guide them toward higher state. This is the supernatural power that enables a bodhisattva to enter and leave the 10 worlds without restrictions. Those who don't understand keep thinking that supernatural powers are miracles. The highest supernatural power of a Zen master is what? It is not teleporting or walking on clouds or transforming into water or fire. It is not that. The greatest power is to be able to guide his or her students so that they escape the reincarnation cycle, see their pure mind, and attain a Dharma body. That is supernatural power. So, one thing to help the yaksas, this bodhisattva incarnated into this world as a demon king at the Lanka castle. Also, due to his achieved merits and virtues in countless lifetimes, he was able to guide and lead his yaksas followers to abandon all evil acts and open their mind to the liberating Dharma. Isn't that a great act? If you want to truly help change someone, you would have to enter that person's world before your offer of help can be accepted. Don't believe in the idea that a supernatural spirit must enter or possess someone in order to help. That is ridiculous and delusional. Bodhisattvas don't do these things. They come into this world with common bodies and suffer the 4 pains due to birth, aging, illness, and death, like everyone else. If you ask me, did I suffer through birth? The answer is yes. Suffer illness due to old age? Yes. In death, will I suffer? Yes. I suffer like everyone else. There is no difference. But I understand the reality of everything, so I don't suffer. I transform my sufferings of this world into peacefulness and bliss. So today, if anyone wants to follow the path and abandon the evil worlds, then you need to practice and perform the 10 vows that Samantabhadra Bodhisattva made in Untitled Sutra or Kinh Hoa Nghiêm. Furthermore, your mind must always be in a blissful state without continuous thoughts or anger. Do you know that many of the yaksas are very committed and work hard toward their practices? But they can't control their violent tendency and remain stuck in the demon world. If you can follow these 10 vows and also achieve a peaceful mind, then when you die, you will enter the grand bodhisattva worlds of 10 directions and leave behind all the pain and sufferings belonging to the evil worlds. Now I will read the 10 vows of Samantabhadra Bodhisattva or Phổ Hiền Bồ Tát for those who want to practice this method. You need to read, understand, and practice it, not to chant and do nothing else. 1. To worship and respect all Buddhas. This means above you worship and respect all Buddhas, and you also respect all beings around you. You see and treat all beings as equal to each other. 2. To make praises to the Tathagata. This does not mean that you only praise the Buddha that has entered Nirvana, but you praise the wisdom that exists in all beings. When this wisdom is diluted, then it produces evil acts. When it is awakened, then it embodies truth. 3. To practice the giving of offerings. This is to make offerings to someone who is higher than you in spiritual path. There is a difference between donation and making an offer. Donation is given to the less fortunate. Making an offering is paying a tribute to someone who is higher than you. Buying food for your parents or teachers or master is called making an offering. 4. To repent all karmic hindrance. Your karma continues to exist because you have not repented and changed. You have not spent the time to review what you might have done wrong and repented. So the karmic hindrance continue to stay with you and grow more and more. 5. To rejoice and praise merit and virtue. While on the path, if you see a fellow practitioner who has wisdom and become enlightened, then you need to rejoice and give praise. But instead you become jealous, then you are a low-level person. 6. To request that the Dharma will be turned. This Dharma will is referring to a monk who can lecture the Dharma. A person would normally have to request a few times before the Dharma would be lectured. It is not something to be unappreciated and given out lightly. 7. To request that the Buddhas exist in the world. Besides Buddhas, we should also request high-level monks who can expound on the Dharma for the benefit of all beings. Don't request those who are deluded or could not maintain their vows. They will preach incorrectly and misguide all beings. 8. To always study the Buddha's teaching. You should have knowledge of Buddha's teaching within you, so you can use it to analyze your actions and change the bad deed to good. Without it, you cannot cleanse your mind and make it shine. For example, you were robbed by someone, but instead of getting mad and upset about it, you use the Buddha's teaching to understand that in past lives, you probably have done bad deeds and now you are just paying back. And then let the trouble go and be at peace again. 9. To be in harmony with all living beings. Do you see that you are in harmony with everyone? Not yet. If someone did or said something better than you, then you will try to think of a way to compete against that person. What for? You're trying to be better. It's a waste of time. Because everything here in this world is temporary. So your advantage doesn't really matter. You might even see a master yelling at his student, causing disharmony. But it is all for fun. He yelled and screamed to make the situation serious, so that the student would pay attention and practice better. The master knows that this world is not real and sometimes doesn't want to say anything. For example, Patriarch Linji hit and yelled at his student to wake them up so that they can focus on their pure mind. If you have children, then you should know that a true master treats his student like his own children. The student can betray and hurt a true master, but the reverse will never be done. 10. to transfer and dedicate all merits to all beings. Those of you who have taken vows to follow the precept, after you have done your chant, prayer, meditation, or good deeds, you should dedicate those merits to all beings. These beings include your parents, ancestors, friends, strangers, etc. You give out, but in reality, you receive them all. You don't give out means you don't receive. Now we continue with the Lankavatara Sutra text. All the male and female yaksas, eager to learn Mahayana Sutra, believe in such Dharma and encourage others to follow, wishing Supreme Blessed One, together with thy disciples, for the sake of all yaksas, please enter our castle. From past up to now, I have often made offerings, wishing to hear self-realization Dharma. Mahayana path is salvation. Pray thee have compassion on me and all yaksas. Enter this castle, which has music performers, necklaces of various jewels, delightful Asoka garden. Grant me the opportunity to serve the Buddha and Bodhisattvas. There is nothing I won't give up, even my own life. Have compassion on me. Again, did you hear how passionate the king's plea for the Buddha's teaching was? How many people in this world can do that? In fact, many would probably ignore when a great teacher is nearby. This is because they do not have the blessing to hear and receive the Dharma, and are destined for countless reincarnations back to this world. In the ancient day, when one prayed to hear the Dharma, he or she was prepared to let go of everything, even at the cost of their own life. With such passion and commitment, there is no doubt, if these type of people practiced, they would achieve their goals. By willing to give up their life for the opportunity to hear Mahayana Dharma, it is obvious its values is immeasurable. For sure, these practitioners will be successful. Today, some people heard the Dharma but did not understand and were ready to criticize the Master already. They were not willing to express joy and gratitude, but were eager to spread gossips and condemnation. Comparing the past versus the present, you can see that the materials and fame in the present are so bountiful that most practitioners could not detach themselves from it to cross to the other side where liberation resides. I hope you all can learn from the King's dedication and break yourself from the material bondages that you have created in your body and mind, so that you can detach from this world and generate your own Dharma body, covered in an aura of wisdom and tranquility. People who talk a lot but can do little. If you can let go of everything, then your mind will gather. If you think this life is real, with fame and gain, and loss and despair, then you will never succeed because you will be attached to it. This is the world that evil gods have created to imprison and drown you through your desire and attachment. If you are a smart person, then you must know that this world is an illusion and try your best to find a way to escape After I had read the words from the king, I could not help but be moved by his sincerity. My heart was overflowing with compassion for all beings who live in a delusional state while flowing in the karmic ocean. I felt very sad for them. Although I know that all beings, due to their karma, are born into this transient world to take and pay, to fight and eat each other, still I could not hold back my tears when I read the passionate plea from the Demon King for the chance to hear the Mahayana Dharma. Not many today have such commitment. This is why our own patriarch felt the restlessness in searching for the right person to continue carrying on the Zen lineage for the betterment of future generations. Continuing on with the sutra text. After hearing the king's plea, the Blessed One said, "King of Yasas, the past Dharma lecturers all took pity on you and came to this mountain of precious stone and discoursed on the self-realization Dharma. The future Buddhas would also come and expound on the Dharma likewise." The Buddha used his spiritual power and saw that in the past, many Buddhas had come to this castle and lectured on the Dharma. Even though this place was now occupied by demons, but due to the guidance and encouragement of King Ravana, they all changed their way and were receptive to the Dharma and its practices. You might wonder why it was easier for practitioners in the past to be more successful than those nowadays. It is because they were led by accomplished masters. For example, if in this world there is no one who has the spiritual power to disappear and appear, then there will be no one who can achieve it afterwards. Because if you use your common mind to look for a way to achieve this, then you cannot do it. There must be someone who did this earlier and then show you before you can accomplish it. In the past, there were a lot of accomplished masters who can guide their students to be achieved similarly. Even the knowledge of migrating to the east or west world after death was only confirmed by people who meditated and realized it. Your meditative achievement will lead you to the world you belong. Even this Lankavatara Sutra describes it clearly. The self-awakening Dharma that the Buddhas taught is the result of their actual accomplishment. So what is the use of praying to the east or the west? If you work hard on your meditation and are able to realize the blissful mind, then you will eventually end up in a peaceful world. The Vimalakirti Sutra said the same thing. The tranquil world that you will end up in is dependent on the peacefulness of your mind. You see, the materials in the world today are bountiful, and the joy of the five desires is so deep. Therefore, the master nowadays don't want to show up because they know people in this world are so deluded and are difficult to guide. Their desires are so strong, like a child thirsty for milk. How can that child stop drinking? The master come to this world to improve their practice, and once achieved, they look around and saw how difficult it is to help someone in this world. They just shook their head and went on their ways. Unlike the Buddha Sakyamuni, who initially saw that most people at that time would have a very difficult time understanding his teaching and wanted to go into nirvana. But the heavenly gods saw that if the Buddha went away, then there would be no one to benefit from the Buddha's awakening Dharma. Therefore, he requested the Buddha to stay and pass it on, because there was some who could understand and benefit from his teaching. The evidence is that the first Dharma talk that he gave was to 5 of his original fellow practitioners, and it changed them from commoners to saints right away. So in summary, it is very difficult to change a commoner to a saint. Because of the commoner's deep state of delusion, some masters prefer to move on or hide away from this world. This world is funny because real master seldom gets recognized, because he focuses on his mind and not on his forms. Whereas the fake master focuses on his forms and advertises. He advertises so that everyone can see and praise and bring him more fame and wealth. The more you show the people how good you are, the less time there is for you to practice. You would spend most of the time advertising or doing community work, so there would be little time left to focus on your mind. People who are deluded by forms themselves greatly admire these fake masters. Remember that forms belong to the 3 realms. Remember the Heart Sutra said, the Bodhisattva meditated deeply and saw the emptiness of all 5 skandhas. That is how your practice becomes successful. But if you run here and there, rescue this person or do something else for another cause, then those actions will only take you back to heaven or the human world, which are still part of the reincarnation cycle. You spend so much time outward to show everyone your compassionate heart, but your final achievement is so little. You have to leave the world of forms and see emptiness in everything before your Dharma body can be realized. Forget about searching for a true master. Even looking for practitioners who did not give up their path is a rare occurrence already. In my lifetime, I have seen so many who have fallen by the side. This failure rate is high, not just within practitioners who live at home, but monks living in monasteries similarly fail. If they did not drop out and could not enter samadhi, then they could only practice in the world of forms alone. In the end, it is a waste of lifetime, because they did not get far. They are still within the endless reincarnation cycle and cannot escape. Continuing on with the Lankavatara Sutra text. Past Buddhas have always felt compassion for you and came to the castle. Future Buddhas will as well. Current Bodhisattvas and I felt likewise and accepted your request. The Buddha sat and then sat still. King Ravana immediately brought the floral chariot to take the Buddha into the castle. The Bodhisattvas and honored guests followed behind. There were many singing, praising, and welcoming the Buddha and guests as they entered the castle. There were special gifts and jewel necklaces, offering to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. After accepting the offering, the Bodhisattvas, one by one, described the world that they were in based on their achievements. Ajida Buddha. You can hear clearly from the sutras that the Bodhisattva described their world, not from what they learned, but from their realization through their achievements. Hence, those who heard Dhamma from Bodhisattva, who had direct experiences, how can they not be successful in their practices? Due to the sincerity and commitment of the Yaksas, the Blessed One could not deny their request. The king was very happy and treated the Buddhas and honored guests to a spectacular ceremony which was probably the most important celebration in their history. Now we talk about the meaning of this occasion. It describes how the Buddha wisdom can shine its light into dark and diluted environment and help break the bondages holding these yaksas within their karmic cycles. It can penetrate and cleanse the evil habitual energies and guide them to a new height. So you see, having a chance to be close to a true master is very beneficial because you will have a chance to absorb and learn from the blissful mind of such master. Because the master mind is blissful, it will create a blissful world wherever the master goes. Have you ever sat next to someone whose mind is agitated or evil? If your mind is settled, you will sense the uneasiness. Your heart might even beat faster or skip a beat because you might be able to sense the high tensions in the air. Your peaceful mind will not be compatible with someone who is emotional or evil. The sincere act of making offerings and requests for the Dhamma displayed their dedication to the path, which was not possible for those who still have evil character in them to do. An evil person does not want to be near a true monk or priest, so how could you expect them to make any type of offerings? This world is similar. According to Kinh Đại Bát Niết Bàn or Mahaparinirvana Sutra, once the Buddha entered Nirvana, heavenly being cried out, "Our teacher has closed his eyes. This world will enter an age of ignorance and darkness for a long time to come." They clearly saw when the Buddha was present. There was hope, but once he was gone, there was only despair. These were beings who had deep respect for the Dhamma and cried out when the Dhamma king was gone. Today, even though you sit in front of a true master whose mind has been pacified, you still could not recognize. Sometimes the evil God might whisper in your ear, saying false things about the master, and you accept it as facts. Lose your commitment and drop out. Evil God knows who are the true master and will do everything it could to have you stay away and not follow the true path. So you must be aware of this. There once was a Zen monk who went up the mountain and saw a girl freezing by the cold wind. So he took off his robe to cover her and took her back to the temple. Once inside, he noticed that she was still freezing. So he wrapped his arms around her so that his body heat could warm her. But his students saw this and thought that their teacher has broken his vows. So they went in with a senior representative to confront the master. The senior said, "You are our highly respected teacher, and you taught us not to be near the opposite sex, and yet you brought a girl back to the temple and are here with your robe and arms around her. What do you have to say about this?" The master then uncovered his robe around her, and once they saw her, they were aghast by the sight. This girl suffered from leprosy, and her face was grossly deformed. So what do you think of the sight of a master holding a girl who suffers from leprosy in his embrace to warm her? Therefore, you should not waste your time listening to gossips. It can kill your spirit. This story shows that even with your own eyes and ears as witnesses, you still cannot trust. At that moment, his student kneeled down and repented. The doubt that they had of their teachers. I tell you this to remind you to be careful of your thoughts and words, even if you witness it yourself. Else if you defame a holy monk, then the negative karma on you will be great. So today all of you have a chance to hear this Mahayana Sutra. I am confident that you all have practiced in many past lives. You also have made offerings to the Buddha in all 10 directions. So I pray that Tam Bảo, or Triratna, which is the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, will always protect you, and that you all will use Tứ Nhất Pháp, or the 4 assistant methods, to help bring peace to all beings and erase the sufferings that all beings carry. We have to use compassion, wisdom, and encouragement to respect and bring peace to each other. Help all to have the self-confidence to generate the Bodhi mind so that they can overcome the ocean of delusion and pains and be awakened to their pure minds. Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật.